Welcome to Marble Mind. Here we forge an unshakable spirit in the fire of ancient wisdom. Today we look into the shadows of isolation to discover why solitude is your ultimate forge and how to become an army of one. Listen closely. Most men fear being alone. They run from silence as if it were a predator. They drown their solitude in the noise of crowds, the glow of screens, and the hollow validation of others. Why? Because in the stillness, the mask falls off. In the solitude, they are forced to look at the man in the glass, and they find him lacking. They are not a fortress, they are a ruin. But the Stoic? The Stoic seeks the desert of the soul. He knows that true power is not found in the cheers of the masses, but in the quiet discipline of a man who can stand entirely alone and not flinch. To be an army of one is to be your own commander, your own soldier, and your own judge. It is to reach a state where you are no longer a slave to social approval or the warmth of the herd. Before we enter this temple of isolation, I have a task for you. If you have ever felt the strength that comes from being alone, or if you are ready to stop fearing your own company, write in the comments, "Solitary strength." Let this be your signal to the world that you no longer need their permission to exist. This is the first step in building your internal empire. Imagine a single towering oak tree in the middle of a vast, empty plain. It has no brothers to shield it from the wind. It has no forest to break the storm. Yet, its roots go deeper than any tree in the woods. It is hardened by every gale. It is tempered by every frost. It stands alone, and because it is alone, it is magnificent. Today, we will learn how Marcus Aurelius found solitude in the middle of a crowded palace. We will see how Seneca embraced exile as a laboratory for the spirit. We will build your inner citadel, stone by stone, until you are no longer afraid of the dark. If you seek the comfort of the crowd, this is not for you. But if you are ready to become the master of your own solitude, stay. We are about to begin. The greatest tragedy of modern man is that he can no longer sit quietly in a room by himself. We have become addicts of presence. We need the hum of others to convince ourselves that we are alive. The ancient Stoics recognized this as a profound weakness. If your happiness depends on the presence of others, you have given them the keys to your prison cell. You are at the mercy of their whims, their moods, and their departures. To the Stoic, this is a form of spiritual beggary. You are wandering the streets, cup in hand, begging for a crumb of attention to fill the hole in your chest. Seneca wrote, "The primary indication of a well-ordered mind is a man's ability to stay in one place and linger in his own company." Look at your life. Can you spend a Friday night without a screen, without a drink, and without a voice? If the answer is no, you are not free. You are a fugitive, running from the only person you can never truly escape, yourself. Solitude is a mirror that does not lie. In the crowd, you can hide behind a persona. You can play the role of the successful professional, the funny friend, the loyal partner. But when the lights go out and the voices fade, the persona vanishes. You are left with the raw materials of your character. For most, this is terrifying. They see the cracks, they see the laziness, they see the lack of purpose, and so they run back to the noise. Being an army of one starts with the courage to face this void. You must realize that solitude is not lack. It is not the absence of others. It is the presence of self. It is the moment when you stop being a social animal and start being a rational being. Think of the training of a gladiator. He may fight in a crowded arena, but he trains in the cold, silent hours of the dawn. He eats alone. He bleeds alone. He prepares his mind for the moment when no one can help him. You are that gladiator. Every moment of solitude you endure and master is a repetition in the gym of the soul. Practical advice for the initiate. Start small. Seek micro-solitude. Spend 15 minutes a day in a room with no distractions, no phone, no music, just you and the walls. Watch the panic rise. Watch the boredom scream. And do not move. Sit there like a statue. You are teaching your brain that the void cannot kill you. You are proving that you are the master of the space you occupy. This is the first layer of your armor. The more comfortable you become in the silence, the less power the world has over you. You are beginning to build the foundation of a man who can stand alone against 1,000 and remain unmoved. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth, lived his life surrounded by thousands, advisors, generals, servants, and sycophants. And yet, he was one of the loneliest men in history. He knew that the throne is the most isolated place in the world. His solution was not to seek more friends, but to build what he called the inner citadel. An army of one does not need external walls. He builds them within his mind. This is the art of objective judgment. The Stoic trains himself to see things exactly as they are, without the coloring of human emotion or the distortion of public opinion. When you are alone, you have the clarity to inspect your own fortifications. You can see where your discipline is crumbling and where your fears are leaking in. Think of your mind as a fortress under siege. The enemy is not people, but impressions. The thoughts that tell you that you are lonely, that you are failing, or that you need someone to save you. In the silence of solitude, you can intercept these enemies at the gate. You look at a thought of loneliness and you say, "You are just an impression, not the thing you represent." You strip it naked, and you realize it has no power to hurt the stone of your soul. To become an army of one, you must learn to be your own best ally. If you do not like your own company, why should anyone else? You must cultivate a mind that is so rich, so disciplined, and so focused that boredom becomes a word from a forgotten language. The inner citadel is a place where you can retreat at any moment, even in a crowd, to find total, icy stillness. Practical application. Designate a sanctum. This is not necessarily a physical room, but a mental state. When the world becomes too much, or when the weight of being alone feels heavy, retreat into your principles. Ask yourself, what would a man of marble do right now? He would not complain. He would not seek a distraction. He would find a task and do it with total devotion. In your solitude, you are not waiting for life to happen. You are the one making it happen. The army of one is not a man who hates people. He is a man who has ceased to need them. There is a massive difference between choosing to be with others and needing to be with them. Dependency is a chain. If you need the approval of your peers to feel worthy, you are their slave. If you need the warmth of a relationship to feel complete, you are a fragment, not a whole. Epictetus taught that the only things that truly belong to us are our own opinions, our own intentions, and our own actions. Everything else, your reputation, your wealth, even your body, is external and subject to the whims of fate. When you are alone, you realize how little you actually need to be a virtuous human being. You don't need a cheering section to be brave. You don't need an audience to be honest. This is the Stoic autarky, total self-sufficiency. Imagine you are shipwrecked on an island, like the founder Zeno was. All his wealth was at the bottom of the sea. He was alone. Instead of despairing, he said, "Fortune bids me to be a less encumbered philosopher." He realized that the loss of everything external was the gain of everything internal. When you embrace solitude, you are practicing for the worst-case scenario. You are proving to yourself that if the world turns its back on you, you will still be standing. If your friends betray you, if your status is stripped away, if you are cast into exile, you are still an army of one. You are your own supply line. You are your own reinforcement. This realization gives you a terrifying level of power in social situations. When you don't need anything from people, not their money, not their lust, not their validation, you are the most powerful person in the room. You cannot be bribed. You cannot be intimidated. You are a sovereign state in a world of colonies. If this path resonates in your heart, become a part of our brotherhood. Subscribe to Marble Mind. Let us continue to forge our spirits together in the quiet of the forge. The true character of a man is not what he does when the world is watching. It is what he does when he is absolutely certain no one will ever know. Solitude is the ultimate test of integrity. For the army of one, there are no spectators, only the internal eye of the sage. In the crowd, we are often virtuous out of vanity. We seek the applause of the audience. But in the shadows of solitude, vanity dies a cold death. Here, you discover if your discipline is real or if it is just a mask you wear for social profit. Do you still rise at dawn when no one is there to see your hustle? Do you still keep your word to yourself when there is no one to hold you accountable? The Stoic views solitude as a laboratory. It is the place where you burn away the dross of the social self. Musonius Rufus, the teacher of Epictetus, argued that exile was not a punishment, but an opportunity for undistracted practice. When you are alone, you can direct 100% of your energy toward the perfection of your reason. You are not performing, you are becoming. Think of the blacksmith. He does not hit the iron when it is cold. He places it in the intense, isolated heat of the forge. Your solitude is that heat. It is uncomfortable. It is searing. But it is the only way to hammer the softness out of your soul. A man who has mastered himself in isolation is like a weapon forged in secret. When he finally steps into the light, he is sharper and more resilient than anyone expects. Practical advice. Set a solitary standard. Create a ritual or a task that you perform only for yourself. Something difficult that offers no external reward. This is your secret fire. It builds a form of self-respect that the world can neither give nor take away. When you know you are disciplined in the dark, you walk with a different stride in the light. You know you are real. An army that announces its every move is destined for defeat. The army of one understands the strategic value of silence and distance. In a world that demands transparency, where everyone is vlogging their journey and posting their goals, the Stoic remains a ghost. There is a psychological leak that happens when you tell people what you are going to do. The brain receives a hit of dopamine, as if you've already achieved the goal, and your drive diminishes. You become a talker, not a doer. The army of one moves in total silence. You do not announce your transformation. You simply embody it. Epictetus warned, "Sheep do not throw up the grass to show the shepherds how much they have eaten, but inwardly digesting their food, they outwardly produce wool and milk." This is the essence of Stoic solitude. You digest your hardships, your study, and your training in private. You don't show the process. You show the wool. You show the results. When you disappear from the social scene to work on yourself, people will call you antisocial or weird. Let them. Their confusion is a sign that you are no longer predictable. You have broken the strings of the social puppet master. While they are busy talking about the next big thing, you are quietly building it. Solitude allows you to think strategically. When you are not constantly reacting to the opinions and emotions of others, you can see the long game. You can see the traps that others fall into because they are too busy looking at each other. By stepping back from the herd, you gain the high ground. You see the battlefield for what it really is. Your solitude is not a retreat. It is a tactical repositioning. You are not hiding. You are flanking the world. Let us be honest. Solitude is not always a peaceful garden. Often, it is a desert where the sun of self-awareness burns without mercy. It is painful to be alone with your own failures, your own aging, and your own mortality. But the Stoic does not seek to numb this pain. He seeks to use it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The mind converts and overthrows every obstacle to its action into a means." This is the core of the army of one. If loneliness is a weight, you use it to build spiritual muscle. If isolation is a cold wind, you use it to harden your skin. You do not ask for the burden to be lightened. You ask for your back to be strengthened. Most people use distractions, alcohol, endless scrolling, shallow company, as an anesthetic to avoid the sting of being alone. They are like soldiers who desert their posts at the first sign of rain. But you stay. You let the loneliness burn. You look it in the eye and say, "Is this all you have?" When you realize that the feeling of being alone cannot actually break a single one of your principles, you become invincible. Think of the premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. In your solitude, imagine that everyone you love has left you, that your reputation is destroyed, and that you are cast out from society. Live through it in your mind. See yourself still practicing virtue, still maintaining your dignity, still breathing. If you can be whole in that mental wasteland, then you can never be truly broken in reality. You have turned the poison of isolation into the medicine of resilience. To be an army of one is to declare yourself a sovereign entity. You are no longer a colony of the common opinion. You are not a province of what they think. You are a nation unto yourself, with your own laws, your own borders, and your own justice. The Stoics called this autarkia. It is the state of needing nothing from the outside to be happy. This does not mean you reject the world. It means the world no longer has a vote in your internal affairs. When you are alone, you are the king of this private state. You decide what is valuable. You decide what is shameful. You do not check the social currency to see if your day was successful. You check your own ledger of virtue. Imagine the freedom of this position. When you are a sovereign spirit, you are no longer offended by insults, because an insult is just a foreign diplomat making a noise at your border. It has no power to change your internal laws. You are no longer desperate for praise, because praise is just a tribute you didn't ask for. You are self-contained. An army of one maintains its own supply lines. Your wisdom comes from the books of the dead, the great philosophers, not the headlines of the living. Your joy comes from the mastery of your own impulses, not the acquisition of things. When you walk into a room full of people after a month of productive solitude, you walk in as an ambassador from a powerful, distant land. You are in their world, but you are not of it. Practical advice. Stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What does my law require?" Write down your own personal code of conduct, 10 rules that you will never break, whether someone is watching or not. This is your constitution. In the silence of your solitude, read it daily. It is the only treaty you are bound to sign. When you become an army of one, your relationship with the world changes. You stop being a sponge that absorbs every passing influence, and you become a filter. Solitude is the ultimate test of who truly belongs in your life. Seneca warned, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." But how can you know who these people are if you are never alone to reflect? When you are constantly surrounded by the herd, their voices become your thoughts. Their mediocre goals become your ambitions. Their fears become your limits. By stepping into the cold light of isolation, you allow the dust to settle. You begin to see your friends and associates for what they really are. Some are anchors, dragging you down into the depths of triviality. Others are vampires, feeding on your energy because they cannot generate their own. In the silence, you realize that many of your social connections were merely distractions from the self. An army of one does not fear losing people. He fears losing himself to the wrong people. Use your solitude to raise the bar of entry to your life. If someone cannot match the peace and strength you find in your own company, they are not an asset. They are a liability. It is better to feast alone on the bread of wisdom than to dine with fools on the wine of gossip. Tour's thought is vital. Leave a short but powerful comment under this video. Let it be your seal on today's lesson. The greatest conflict in any man's life is the war between the part of him that knows what to do and the part of him that feels like doing nothing. To be an army of one is to resolve this conflict through the total unification of the self. In solitude, there is no one to play the victim for. There is no one to blame for your lack of progress. You are both the general who gives the order and the private who must execute it. If the order is not followed, the failure is yours alone. This absolute accountability is what transforms a person into a force. The Stoic practices what is called continence, the ability to hold oneself in. When you are alone, you train the soldier within you to obey the general, your reason. You tell yourself to work, and you work. You tell yourself to endure hunger, and you endure. You tell yourself to face a hard truth, and you do not blink. There is no debate. There is no negotiation with your lower instincts. This internal hierarchy is the secret to the army of one's lethality in the world. While others are paralyzed by internal doubt and conflicting desires, you move as a single, solid unit. Your mind and your body are in a state of perfect alignment. Because you have mastered the art of self-command in the quiet, you can lead yourself through any storm in the loud. Think of the army of one not as a lonely man, but as a man who is so complete that he is a legion. You carry the wisdom of the Stoic masters as your intelligence officers. You carry your discipline as your heavy infantry. You carry your purpose as your unstoppable cavalry. When you walk into the world, you are not just one person. You are a mobilized empire of intent. Practical exercise. For 1 week, give yourself one difficult command every morning. Something that makes the soldier in you want to complain. Do not allow a second of hesitation. Execute. In that silence of instant obedience, you will hear the sound of your own power growing. The ultimate purpose of being an army of one is not to hide from the world forever, but to return to it as someone the world can no longer break. The Stoic does not seek solitude out of hatred for humanity, but out of a sacred duty to his own character. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that we are made for each other, like the 2 rows of teeth. But he also knew that to be useful to others, you must first be a master of yourself. You cannot lead if you are easily led. You cannot give strength if you are hollow. Your time in isolation was not a retreat, it was an armory. Now look at the man who has mastered solitude. When he returns to the forum of life, he is different. He is not desperate for conversation. He is not hungry for attention. He moves with the heavy, rhythmic gait of a conqueror who has already won the most important battle, the battle over his own impulses. He is among people, but he is never lost in them. Being an army of one means that even in the middle of a crowded city, you carry your desert with you. You carry that cold, clear space of reason where no one can touch you. This is the Stoic radiance. People will sense it. They will see that you have a source of power they do not understand. They will try to pull you into their dramas, their petty wars, and their fleeting joys. And they will find that you are as immovable as a mountain of marble. Your solitude has given you the ultimate weapon, the power to walk away. Because you know you can survive and thrive in the void, you are no longer a hostage to any situation, any job, or any person. This is the final victory of the army of one. You are the only person on this earth who can never be truly alone, because you have finally become a man worth living with. The journey of the army of one is a lonely path, but it is the only one that leads to true sovereignty. We have dismantled the fear of the void. We have built the inner citadel. We have learned to use solitude as a filter, a forge, and a strategic advantage. You have seen how Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus turned their isolation into a monument that has outlasted empires of stone. But remember, a script is just a collection of ink and breath. It is a map, not the territory. The true army of one is not found in a video. He is found in the decisions you make when the screen goes dark and the silence of your room settles around you. When the urge to seek distraction hits, stand firm. When the weight of loneliness feels heavy, push back. When the world demands that you conform to the herd, remember your code. You are no longer a fragment of a crowd. You are no longer a leaf in the wind. You are a sovereign state. You are your own commander. You are your own supply line. You are the rock that the waves break against. Go forth into the world, or stay in your cell. It does not matter. For wherever you go, you carry the legion of your ancestors and the steel of your own will. You are the master of the marble mind. You are an army of one. Stay cold, stay hard, stay silent.